We were shocked. We were, what is this? This is shameful. As our daughters are walking out naked. My mom was crying, my sisters were crying, I was crying, Camara was crying, my brother was crying, like everybody was crying. And hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Saida here, and today I want to share with you one of my favorite stories to tell, but also one of the biggest things that makes me who I am today. So basically, I'm just going to tell you about my story, okay? And from there, you'll be able to understand why the title of this video says what it says. Okay, so for those who don't know me, if you're new to my channel, my name is Saida and I'm a Tanzanian Arab living in Malaysia here. So basically, if you're new to my channel, please check it out, and if you like our content, please subscribe to our channel to keep up with our videos. Sometime around 2010, I traveled to Malaysia to pursue my studies. I met this guy. He was from Guinea, and I met him in university because we were going in the same university. Anyway, so getting into a relationship, it was really smooth. Like, there was nothing so major, but there was a huge obstacle in our relationship. Is because we're from two different countries, and not only two different countries, we're from two different cultural backgrounds. I know that might sound like, oh, it's just something else, but no, it is a huge deal, okay? Especially if you're coming from like an Arab family, to go out and meet a non-Arab person, it's a no-no. So anyway, so we were like, we were talking about our relationship, and we were having plans to actually continue this relationship for a while. And he knew that I was a very family-oriented person. Like, he knew that my family comes first before anything. So the problem in our relationship was definitely going to be how to tackle, the cultural barrier there is. So it was very challenging. But how it all started was, I arranged for me. So my father was traveling to Thailand for business. I was in my last year, and he already graduated. He just graduated. So we felt like it was the right time to actually, speak to my dad about it, because he just graduated and I'm in my last year. So I arranged a meeting with my dad. My dad came here. That day I prepared dinner and everything. And, when they came over for dinner, then I was like, okay, there's someone I want you to meet, and he's coming to see you. So my dad really kept calm. So anyways, his uncle came, and, the uncle spoke to my dad and everything. And then my dad was just like, okay, I heard everything. But he was very clear. He's like, and I brought my daughter here to study, and I'm sure you also brought your son here to study. So he's already completed, but my daughter hasn't completed what she came here for. So I mean, I would want to have this conversation after my daughter has completed what she came here to do. Then we can talk about those things. In the meantime, Camara also can take that time to look for a job and to find ways to support a wife, because you just graduated. Take this time to figure out yourself, have a plan, like if you want to marry someone, where you're going to put them. I finished my studies. I finished my final exams, and it was time for me to go back home. And right away, my family, they booked a flight for me to go back to Tanzania. So I was on the flight back. I remember that trip so well, because I remember I cried in that flight. I cried so much. Like, I was thinking in the back of my head that I would never get to see this person ever again. Like, there's a chance, because he's from all the way from the other country. He's from Guinea, that is all the way in West Africa. We don't even know anything about that place. So there are high chances that I'm never going to see this person again, And so I'm flying back home. I'm crying the whole way. Like, I was like so depressed, because I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to see this. But we were still talking, we're still keeping in touch. And, I was just like having hope that, it could work out. Because for me, it felt like, okay, it was a good match. He was really the one. We're so different, but it makes sense, So at that time, I already go back in Tanzania, and, my parents allowed me to just settle down and take some time, because I had been away from home for a while. I was away for 3 years. So, forgotten who you are, you've forgotten your cultures. You need to come back and just remember who you are and get back into your system, and then really think through if this is what you really want, right? So I was like, okay, I was just buying some time, but at the end of the day I was like, no, like I was still sure, like yes, he's the one. I still want to proceed with him. There were people approaching me, like telling me, okay, my son is here, he's interested or whatever, and I was like, my mind was still on like, no, like there's a guy and he's waiting for me, and I'm just looking for the right way to bring this to my dad again. So I was trying to talk to my parents again, and I was like, okay, this guy who you met last year, he's still there and he wants to come and meet you, like he wants to come and talk to you. And at that time they were like, they were like not convinced. No, like this doesn't make any sense. Like we don't know anything about West Africa, we don't know anything about Guinea. Like if you get married and you go there, what's gonna happen to you? How are we gonna be able to reach you if you need a help? How are we gonna protect you? How, like, you know, you could face, there's so many challenges that you'll face, because marriage is not all about love, you know, there's so many things. And I was just like, no, like I don't want to hear what they're saying. All I hear is that they don't even want to listen to this guy who wants to come and talk to them. He's been working for a whole year trying to actually meet the target my dad put. So why don't they want to listen to him? And I was just like getting upset. So I was like, I didn't want to hear anything they had to say. I was being so rebellious at that age. I was like, you're rushing, you're going too fast. Like, why you want to rush into this? And I was being so rebellious. I was like, no, you need to give him a chance, because I knew on the other hand, like how the guy Camara was like working so hard. He got a job, like, which was so difficult to do in Malaysia. Like for a black man to find a job in Malaysia was like literally impossible. He literally had to like do whatever it took. He had to work for free until he got a job. Like he struggled to get that job, and he started saving every penny so that he can come and see my dad again. So I knew how hard he was working for this, and they didn't even want to give him a chance to talk about, you know, what he had to say. They were like just thinking about everything that could go wrong. They're like, no, like, you know, you've been there for so long, you're manipulated, you know, you're young, you're so young, so you're like, why are you rushing into this? Take your time, you just graduated, you're just 21 or whatever, or 22, I don't remember. So they were just trying to give me time to buy, but I was like, no, like if I keep waiting, this guy, I'll lose him. I'm very far from him. Like he's far away, I'm far away. The more time goes, like probably we will never see each other again. So I was like so rebellious. Apart from him being from West Africa, you can't summarize all of them to be the same. Like just give me another reason that kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? Like give him a chance, get to know him first, because he's different, you know, he's educated, he's gone to school. Don't envision it like how you envision every West African person, like how we envision Nigerians. I mean, like, with all due respect, I do love Nigerians. I had Nigerian friends and everything, but you know, what people see out there is a lot of the scams that they're doing, a lot of things that they're doing, and I have also had friends who actually have done that. Like these people are there. And even for me, when I first came to Malaysia, the first thing I was warned was like, you know what, stay away from Nigerians. I was like, okay, so they do have, to be honest, there is a reputation that goes around Nigerians or West Africans. So, but that reputation was blinding everything else, that they couldn't see his personality, they couldn't see who he is, and you know, everything else. And that's what I was fighting for. Like, no, I remember going to stay at my grandma's place at some point because it was just getting too intense, you know, at home. So I remember I went to my grandma's place that time, and one of my aunts who was staying there, she talked to me and she was telling me, like, you know what, Zayda, I knew everybody was talking to me because my parents were telling them to talk to me and, you know, brainwash me out of this nonsense. So I didn't want to listen to anyone. But one of this aunt of mine, okay, she stays at my grandma's house, and she was telling me, like, she's really close with me. She's more like, not an auntie, but more like a young auntie friend. So she was just telling me, like, you know what, I mean, like, I understand what you're going through, but I have a friend of mine who I graduated with. That's what she's telling me, right? Her story. Her friend that she graduated with fell in love with this guy. She was crazy over this guy, and the guy was from Pemba or something. It's an island, and her family didn't want anything to do with it. She didn't want to listen, so she eloped with the guy, and she went. They were living in Pemba, and then, you know, the story took a turn, right? So she was telling me that, you know, they were starting, after a few, I think, months or year, they started facing a lot of obstacles, like, that is not in their control, right? So there can be so many things, especially in Africa. Like, you can have the in-laws were doing some things to her. Like, she was going through a lot of, despite that the guy loved her, but she was going through a lot of internal problems, like psychologically, mentally. Like, they were doing stuff to her. She was going through so much. Like, I remember that time, like, her story hit me so hard, and she was like, And the fact that, you know, she's telling me that this is my friend, like I know she's going through all this, but the problem is she's so stuck because she can't even pick up the phone to call her family because she already ran away. This is what she chose. So she's stuck in that life that, you know, she even has a kid, and she's stuck in this life that she can't even get out of because she made this mistake, you know, and she didn't want to listen because she was so sure, I graduated from university, I know what I'm doing, I want to marry this guy, and I don't care about what anyone thinks, you know. And, you know, just that story really hit me, and I was like, wow. I took a second and I was like, okay, no matter how much I love this guy, at the end of the day, I mean, like, I still do love myself to not put myself through such torment, and I have nowhere to run, right? Or I'm trapped in a situation where I can't get out of. So like, it kind of hit me for a second, and I was like, okay, you know what, like, I really need to think through this. So I started like really reasoning out, and I was like asking myself these questions, like, is he really worth it? As much as I did love him, like, I have a place in my heart. It's like, okay, I really do feel for this guy, because I knew everything he was going through and everything. But I just sat down and I took a moment there, and I started thinking through, is it worth it? And I started weighing down the options, like, okay, if I were to leave this person and I were to get someone else, what would I get and what would I lose? But there were genuine qualities in him that I was like, okay, this can actually make a good home, or this can actually make a good spouse, right? And then so I was weighing down the options and the pros and the cons, and I'm like, okay, like, how would my life look like, you know? So I was looking at it, and I was still like inclined towards him. I was like, yeah, I still feel like it's worth it. Let me just give it a shot. But then what I did was, I like put it all on a prayer. That was the last thing I did, right? I put it all in a prayer, and I just like, there's this prayer for us Muslims. We have this prayer called Salatul Istikhara. It's a prayer where you asking God, when you come to decisions, you don't know which decision or which path to take. You're asking God to help you make the decision for you, or help you, give you signs on which decision to go for. So I started praying that prayer, because I was like, genuinely, like, really wanted to know, God, like, if I marry this guy, how will my life look like? Will it look like the way I want it to look like, or will it take a turn? I was like, I really needed an answer, and I knew nobody could give me this answer. Like, there was nobody in the entire world who can actually tell me my life would end up like this. So I was praying. So, and then, like, you know, I could still feel like, you know, my heart was still inclined towards Camara, and I still had the motivation, the power, the effort to keep on fighting for it. So I just kept on doing that. And one day my dad was just like, okay, well, I think that, you know what, if you just want me to meet this guy and hear what he has to say, then it's fine. He can come to Tanzania and he can meet me and say whatever he has to say. But I'm not giving you any assurance on when I'm going to reply him. I can take 1 day, I can take 1 week, I can take 1 year, I can take 10 years. That doesn't matter. It's up to me. When I feel like I'm ready to give my answer, I'll give you my answer. For me, right there, that was more than enough. That was like good enough. And I was like, yeah, this is what I wanted. Like, just give him a chance, and then just analyze and see. Give me solid reasons why you think I shouldn't go ahead with this. You know what I mean? Like, I was ready at that point. Like, if my dad would have seen him, and my dad would have genuinely told me, like, you know what, I think that he doesn't make a good match because of these reasons that made sense, I was willing, like, that at that time, to actually let it go. So what happened is, like, okay, so I just called Camara right then. I was like, listen, my dad said you can come. You need to arrange for a trip now. Like, we came from a situation whereby he was like being threatened, don't contact my daughter, don't even think about coming to Tanzania. Like, because I was so rebellious before that. I was so rebellious, like, I was behaving not like myself. So my parents were like, what is this person doing to our daughter? So they were upset with him. So we came from that point to a point whereby my dad was like, okay, fine, you know, let me meet him, and then let me tell you what I think. So I called him that time. I called him real quick, and I was like, okay, you know what, you need to come. My dad said you can come for 2 days. And he's like, okay, so should I book my ticket? And I was like, yeah, book it for 2 weeks. And he's like, 2 weeks? But your dad said 2 days. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it's really far. I'm like, getting a ticket from Malaysia to Tanzania is $1,000. You can't change. Just come for 2 weeks. We'll find a place for you to go. You can even go to Mozambique or something and visit your friends, but just come for 2 weeks. Okay, he went ahead and he booked the ticket. So I remember I was on the call with him. He's in the flight now. He's about to turn his phone off. He's like, okay, I'm going off. And the minute, like, he turned his phone off, like, I'm no longer communicating with him. So so much changed like over that period. So I sent them his flight details and everything. The next morning, like he got an invitation to his office, so he went to my dad's office at that time early in the morning. So like my dad is sitting here and I'm sitting over here on the right, my mom is on the left, and he's sitting guest chair. So my dad is a very strict man, like, so it's so intense in the room. And then my dad was like, okay, I was told that you want to come and see me to talk to me about what we discussed last year, so I'm here to listen to what you have to say. Well, man, Camara was brave. He was so brave. Like, I don't know how he got the courage, but he was sitting there. He was so young that time. He was so tiny. He was so small. I remember I even have pictures of him. I'm gonna try and put them in this video. And he was just sitting there in the office, and he knew that that was his chance. So he started like pitching my dad. So he started pitching at my dad, and he's like, I know we met last year, and you know, you told me to go get a job, to get a visa, to all these things, how I'm gonna like, how I like to prepare myself to get a wife and all these things. And I've already accomplished all of that. I'm here to let you know that I got a job and I can actually take care of Saida if she is to come to Malaysia. I mean, I can have a place for her to stay and all these things, right? And he went, and my dad had everything he had to say. And then he gave him a piece of advice as well. He's like, people marry for 4 reasons: for the personality, for the looks, for the wealth, and for the family status, or status, something like that. What is your reason to marry Saida? And then he was like, yeah, I'm marrying her because I like who she is, blah blah. So basically it went back to personality. So my dad was just listening all this, and I think looking at him right there, seeing that he's not as scary as he was, you know, assuming him to be. He was just a young boy, just like I was a young girl. So then anyway, he's like, okay, I will, like I said, I will let you know when I'm ready to let you know. That's it. So he arranged a meeting the next day to meet with his side of the family, like his brothers. So that was a very intense meeting. I was not there, but he was there. Camara was there with my brother and with my uncles and my father. And my dad was just like, okay, they finished the meeting, and he's like, one of my uncles was like, I don't understand. I mean, like, I'm not convinced about you. Like, I need to get to know you. I can't say anything. So you're just a stranger coming to our family. I don't know nothing about you. Let's arrange another meeting. Then, you know, we can talk further and we'll see. And then the other uncle was like, listen, if my brother doesn't give you his daughter, come to my house downstairs. I have a daughter. I'll give it to you. No problems. So it was like, Camara was just like surprised, sitting there like, okay, I don't know what to do. And I think at the same time, my dad was also like puzzled, like, okay, everybody was giving their points. So there was like pros and cons. And then after that meeting, there was another gathering at my mom's side. They're in this like room. It's like a middle-sized room. They're about like 30. Okay, my mom's family is so extended. It's like she has like about 30 plus siblings, okay? And they're all like seated around, I mean, in a circle. So the room is so big, so everybody has to sit on the sides of the wall so everybody can fit and actually have a conversation together. So they started talking. They were speaking in Swahili, some of them in English. So they're speaking Swahili. They were actually asking him questions. Like, everybody just giving a lot of different opinions. So it was some were positive and some were just concerned. So at the end of the day, it was just going back to kind of like that. And then he arranged, and after that day, then my dad arranged one more meeting, which was with his very good advisor, who's also like a big sheikh in Zanzibar. Quite a famous sheikh, actually, called Sheikh Othman Maalim, if you guys know him. And he passed his judgment on to my dad, and I think it was like positive stuff, and actually also going back to what religion is telling us. So advising my dad, okay, at the end of the day, you know, you're doing the right thing, and this is what religion guides us to do. So I think he was just like getting all these like ideas, but he wasn't ready yet to say anything, right? So what happened was, Camara, just I think a few days after that, I think a day or two after that, it was my birthday, right? Of course, I would have organized him to come around my birthday time. So I had a birthday party just at my grandma's house. We had my friends over, my cousins and everything. We were just having a good time ourselves. And you know, my brother came, and Camara was there also. He came because he's a guest. And then this uncle of mine walked in, like super strict. So he walks in and he's like, what is this? He calls my mom and he calls Camara out, and my brother and my cousin brother, and he's like, what is this? This is shameful. How do we have an outsider man sitting here in when our girls, our daughters are walking out naked, we weren't naked, okay, just for those who don't know, we're just not wearing our hijabs, right, our headscarves. We're wearing very decent clothes and everything, but we're not wearing a hijab. So in Arab culture, that is very much naked. So it's like, and we're just there, we're partying, like we're not dancing, like shaking our ass or anything. We're just having a good time with our friends and everything. So for Arabs, that is very just too exposed, okay? So he was like, what is this? You're having an outsider sitting here in our homes, looking at our daughters walking around naked. This is shameful. So he was shouting at my mom and my cousin brother and him, Camara as well, and he chased them out of the party. And I was crying and I didn't want to cut my cake. And I was like on the phone with Camara. I was like, you need to come back. Don't listen to whatever, blah. And he was like, Camara's like, Saida, relax, chill. Like, I didn't come here for your birthday, okay? I came here for something else. So you have a good time with your friends, cut your cake, do whatever it is. I'm here with your brothers. We're going to go out. We're going to have fun. Just have a good time. Like, just don't worry about it. And I was like, oh, I was crying. And my mom was like, Saida, like your friends are all here and everything. Just like put yourself together. Just cut your cake and have fun. So I did that. I cut my cake, you know, took some pictures. I didn't cut the whole cake. I left some of it because I wanted to cut it with my dad the next day as well. So anyway, the next morning, my dad heard about what happened, the huge drama that happened in my grandma's house. And my dad was like, you know, my dad is much more reasoning and, you know, understanding. So he was like, I think he was a bit disappointed in how the situation was handled. In his eyes, it wasn't necessary to cause such a big scene or chase someone out or humiliate someone in public. It would have been better if it was handled other ways. And then I think that kind of made him feel a little bit guilty about, you know, about the situation. So what he said is like, okay, it was a Sunday. He's like, say that it's a Sunday, you should tell Camara to come have some lunch in the house, because the guy's been staying in a hotel for some time now. So just tell him to come and have some home food. So and then Camara came to the house that day. We had lunch. I took the cake out. I was cutting the cake. I gave the cake to my dad and everything, and he's like, okay, Saida, so well, this year I didn't have a birthday gift for you, but the only gift that I can give you at this point is to say yes to Camara's proposal. I was like, everybody was shocked. We were all like, what? Everybody was crying. My mom was crying. My sisters were crying. I was crying. Camara was crying. My brother was crying. Like, everybody was crying. And we all just like been, oh my God, because it's been a battle for so long. Like, it's been months that we are fighting for this. Like, how did this happen? Everybody was crying. Camara quickly ran and took the phone and called his family, like, because his family was worried about him. They knew he was coming for like war or something. He was coming to get killed. He calls his family and he's like, they said yes, they said okay, and he started calling his whole family. They all said okay. Everybody was happy. We were all crying, tears of joy. We were crying, like, ask him. My dad and I was like, what happened? Like, how do you do it? Or people do ask him, and then he's like, honestly, I don't know. He just did what he felt like doing at that time. You know, I mean, like, looking back at the situation, I wouldn't have asked my dad would not have handled the situation any better. Like, he did a great job as a parent, because at the end of the day, he didn't make it easy for just some random guy to just come in and just woo their way into his daughter's life. He had to make sure that he was making the right decision. He had to make sure that I was making the right decision, and we all needed to like be on a page whereby we felt like, you know what, this is the right thing we're doing. Like, it's a huge lesson for me to understand that, you know what, no matter how much you love someone, at the end of the day, your family important. Like, your family matters so much. Like, I don't even know how to emphasize it. I'm living overseas, I'm living away from my family, but I'm in touch with them all the time. But I can't emphasize how important family is, because this is just one of the things that have happened in my life. I have a whole nother chapters. Like, if I just go through it, I can't even finish it in a day. I've gone through so many different things, and I'm just so thankful that I've had my family, because if I didn't have them, like, life would have been much more difficult to have handled it alone. And also, a family is always there to help you figure out whether you're doing the right thing or not, because sometimes you might not be in your right mind. Parents are not hallucinating, or they're not imagining that you would just completely deviate, because these things actually happen to girls. basically what you can take from this video. I've said so much. I love talking. I don't know how I did it with just a camera. But what you can take from this video is, number one, your family is as important as anything else in your life. So make sure that, especially marriage, if you're going into a marriage, try to get your family on board. Do whatever it takes to get your family on board with you, because life gets much more difficult without them. Trust me, I was a little girl and I did the same thing. I know how it feels, but just try. Just the same way I did, I tried, because I was not pushing my parents, I want to marry this guy. I was just pushing my dad, like, give him a chance, get to know him, analyze him, and then tell me if he's relevant or not. You know what I mean? I wasn't fighting for him to say, no, let me marry this person. No, I was just like, give him a chance, get to know him. So I really wanted his blessing, not just him saying, do whatever you want. I really genuinely wanted their blessing. So it's really important that you really, really try to get your parents' blessing, because it plays a huge role in your life. Like, you want to have barakah, like blessings in your life and future. And these come from our parents, especially like your mother. In for us Muslims, like in the Quran, it says heaven lies under the feet of your mother. So to not have a blessings of a mother is huge, and life gets much more difficult. So do whatever it takes to get blessings from your family, right? If it takes time, if it takes whatever, do what it takes. Second thing, like, this is also super, super, super important. Like, put God in your decisions. Maybe you're watching this video and you don't believe in God and everything, but if you believe in any higher power, any higher creator out there, you really need to just pray that they help you make a decision. Because at the end of the day, the decision of something like marriage is like a closed door. You don't know what's on the other side. It could be a golden door painted with diamonds, but behind that door could be charcoal, or could be nothing, right? Or it could be just a wooden broken door, but you never know. You open that wooden door, you find gold behind that door. So nobody can tell you and give you assurance 100% that, you know what, this marriage is 100% for you. You're going to make it. It's going to be perfect. Nobody can assure you except the one creator out there. So if I were you, like any decision when it comes to big decisions like that, I always just put God first. And I was like, you know what, make this decision for me, because I'm blind. I'm a human. I can't see the future. But you can see the future. Choose that future that looks best for me, that looks good for me. So leave it in that court, and then you let faith take its place. And the last thing I would want to tell you, at the end of the day, also have self-love. Like, if you love yourself, you don't want to see yourself in a bad situation. You don't want to see yourself miserable in ending up in a domestic violent relationship, ending up with so many problems you can't overcome, with children. At the end of the day, if you're watching this and you're a woman, you need to even love yourself more, because as a woman, we lose so much. Like, if parents, like if a couple do separate, women usually end up with the children, and it's not easy for them to get someone else to marry them. So think about all these things. Like, think about loving yourself and putting yourself in a good situation in your future. So if you really love yourself, you care about yourself. I mean, I did a video about what is love. If you guys have the chance, please check it out. It's in my channel. But these three things for me are like the must points if you're looking for to making a decision about a relationship. Family, getting blessings from your family is very important. Try your best to do that, right? Some cases I know it's probably impossible, but try your best. God is watching, right? The other one is also put a higher, like, pray. For me, I say just pray. Pray to whatever higher creator you pray for. Whether you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, or whatever you are, just pray. I think God is the one who can see the future for you. Let him be the one to guide you into the right door. And then last of all was, make sure you have self-love. Because if you don't love yourself, you're not even going to pray to God to show you the right way, because you're just going to be like, I want this. Okay, so I think like this is also so important. Make sure you have self-love and you care about creating a good environment for yourself. And one more last thing, understand that marriage is a lifetime, right? So don't rush into making a marriage decision a decision that will impact the rest of your life. I'm saying rest of your life because even if you do get divorced, you cannot unwrite the fact that you were married and divorced, or you can unwrite the fact that you have kids, right? So marriage decision is a huge decision. Take time, make sure you get these three things at least in place before you make that decision. Some people don't even have to go through with this because things are much easier for them. But if you're watching this video, you definitely probably want to know what path to take. And I hope this like somehow serves as a guide. At the end of the day, I love my family, I love my parents, and I don't blame them for anything they've done. I mean, I should be the one apologizing for putting them through hell, but at the end of the day, like, you know, it was all a learning experience, and I'm grateful for that. And yeah, I mean, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm sharing such a huge story about myself because this is so deep in my heart. But yes, it's already passed, and I'm just hoping that, you know, maybe there's someone out there who's looking for these answers and they don't have someone to guide them through. So I hope that this could be a guide, or this can help someone out there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. It's your girl Saida here. If you like my channel, please subscribe and join our offer squad. Love you all. See you next time.